Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wolf Motorsports World Motorsport Championship coverage of the Milan Grand Prix 2021. And this is a much hyped race. 60 million people tuning into Q3 yesterday across the globe, and the many broadcasters that there were available. For Dieter Wexler, it could be his final ever qualifying session, and he is helping Rossini in an intense battle with Steinman. Although Gobert, the lead driver, is out in front with 7 wins out the opening 8 rounds, there are some rumours about some massive development packages from both Steinman and Panther, and we will see how they affect this very power-hungry track as we head along to the grid for the race today, where we see, surprise, surprise, Brigitte Gobert leads the championship, will lead the grid off. But Maksat Harbuzi, the Panther driver, who is reportedly having the biggest package increase after the summer break, lines up P2, just 1/8 of a second behind Brigitte Gobert.
On the second row of the grid, it's the two Steinmans. Tally ahead of the talented Bashir, third and fourth on the grid. They're looking to try and capitalize and stop the Rossini dominance at their home track, on home territory this time.
2 Germans on row 3. One very happy in Dieter Wexler, who was originally only going to be the reserve. However, the unfortunate injury to Critelli has forced him to race, and it's rumoured that Critelli is just about ready to go after this Grand Prix. What a send-off it would be if Wexler could get on the podium. But for now, he lines up ahead of Wolfgang Schmidt, who has had a brilliant season in half the races. The other half, 4 races, he's had mechanical DNFs, and it is rumoured that he is on the verge of walking out on the team if this run were to continue.
Row 4 is full of drivers and teams that are under pressure in various ways. Nikolai Surkov in 7th is possibly looking for a new job after being taken over after the team lead role was taken away from him by upstart teammate Harbuzi, and the Yuma team have been struggling for pace despite pretty solid reliability this season. The car's just not fast enough, and Clark Smith is trying desperately to have the team rally around him.
In row 5, we see 2 drivers who have had comfortable seasons and are in comfortable positions, some would say. Jens Bergman in Catano and Nabil Vericruz round out the Q3 qualifiers in 9 and 10.
The strategic front row, as it's often called. Aki Lippinen for Catano starts 11th, and Dino Brid in the Ukkonen, doing very well indeed, starts 12th ahead of experienced teammate Sharp.
2 surprises, it could often be said, on row 7. A Thornton of Linda Lorenz ekes out Sanjay Modi of a Van Dort. That's row 7.
Row 8 has a group of cars struggling to find some pace in the recent races. The Cortorsi Corsa team. Cristiano starts in 15th, and Kofi Koro, the proverbial team number 1, starts 16th alongside his teammate.
2 backmarker teams with drivers smashing their teammates, both unhappy according to insider sources, are both looking to move back up the grid rather than crawl their way down, as these moves have proven to be. Maria Gonzalez in Rosato Corsa and Zoe Sharp in Ukkonen line up 17 and 18. Bad places for those 2.
Row 9, the next row, row 10 has Hamrin starting a disappointing 19th. He's been willing to stay with McNeil for this season to stay in the top of the sport, but is he going to stick around? Rumors have it he's looking to leave very soon. As for the LaRue team and Riko Oyama, the Japanese driver, she's looking to try and help her team stay in the fight for a point here, battling Rosato Corsa at their home GP.
Magnus Krantz takes the spot of Rick de Graaf, who was not feeling 100% and withdrew from the Milan Grand Prix, and he lines up in P21 ahead of Ribeiro in the second Larue, vigorously fighting with Rosato McNeil to not be the wooden spoon of the grid.
Amanda Cavalcanti, the Brazilian driver, starts 23rd on the back row of the grid in the second McNeil, and the second Rosato Corsa of Ji-Sun Lee, the South Korean driver, struggling desperately in that car, making a mistake in his qualifying lap, being a dramatic 5 seconds off the next car, as we head to the 5 lights to start the Milan GP. And I am personally looking forward to this one. I have seen Dieter Wexler when he was a youngster, just breaking into the sport, winning the race here for Rosato Corsa all those years ago in 2008 in the wet. Can he pull off another miracle race in his final Milan GP? Perhaps. The 5 lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go. There's a jump start at the back of the field. It appears to be Amanda Cavalcanti, I believe. We'll get word on that in a second. Brilliant start from Gobert. Wexler gets a good start from the third row of the grid. Tallies already side by side alongside Herbuzzi. The Catano and Van Dorp battles raging on from right behind them as Wexler down the bullies his way to the inside of Bashir. The upstart Bashir is in trouble. Trouble, that's Surakov's in trouble, and that's Bergman! The Catano going slowly as well. They've taken each other off at turn 1. Surakov, without a miracle, is not going to win yet again for Panther. The Russian driver just unable to catch a break in that Panther team this season. As Wexler's up into 4th already, Tallies managed to get up into 2nd, Schmidt is up into 6th, Vercluse 7th, Clark Smith 8th, both Yumas in the top 10, Lipinen up to 9th on those fresher soft tires. As here comes Lipinen to the inside of Vercluse, up into 8th already. Aki got a flying start as the flying Finn. He's on the charge already on the opening lap. Modi's up into 10th. Where did he come from? Britt is stuck in Britt has lost some ground, but is still 11th place on those medium compound tires. As Ji-Sun Lee, by the way, unnoticed by us, has gone from 24th to 19th on the opening lap for Rosato Corsa. He's on the soft tires compared to the medium runners of everybody else. Crash! Turn 1! In the gravel! It's Tally! The Steinman! Tally! The Steinman is out! The Steinman is out! And Wexler is just past... Wexler was briefly up into 2nd place! He was 3 wide with Bashir and Herbuzzi. We didn't see that because we were focused on the Steinman in the gravel trap. Wexler was briefly up into 2nd. Now Bashir's trying to take out the lead fight against Herbuzzi and Wexler. Schmidt is up into P5. Where did he come from? He's 5th now. Lipinen is up into 7th. Amanda Cavalcanti has a 20-second drive-through penalty for 20-second time penalty for jumping the start. So I was right. It was Cavalcanti who jumped the start, and now Ji-Sun Lee's already up into 17th somehow. What a start from the South Korean driver! And now we can finally settle down a little bit as the first 2 laps are now over, and the field is starting to settle down a little bit. As Clark Smith makes the slipstreams past Schmidt up into 5th. And Britt moves up past Modi up into 10th now. Up into 9th now. Britt is making a move now. As Ribeiro runs wide in turn 1 apparently. What a start that was.
Opening couple of laps we have had here. 3 points runners out of the points for now. One of them definitely in Claire Talley, who just too much speed into Parabolica to kill her. It happens pretty much once a year from my recollection, and this year it's Claire Talley. As we see this intense battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, not going to let up anytime soon. Wexler just eyeing up Bashir, eyeing up Herbuzzi, only needs to pass 1 to get a podium, which, given in his press conference, he said he's not feeling the sharpest race-wise. I'm sure he would be more than happy with just a podium.
By the way, but right behind this fight, Lipinen on those fresher tires is up into 6th place. He's fighting Schmidt for 5th now. Lipinen, who started 11th on the grid, is already up into 6th past both of the Yumas. The Yumas once again reliable, but the car's just not fast enough. They're struggling against the Katana, who's notoriously been struggling at power circuits.
Look at this battle.
Indeed, look at this mess.
15th, I think that is.
It is, and look at the pink and purple car in the middle of that pack. That is Maria Gonzalez, running 13th at the moment. She is desperate to try and get points for Rosato Corsa, who need points to stay alive here against McNeil. She's the best shot at the moment, running 13th on those medium tires. Good, it's a decent start for now, but can she hold on? As teammate Ji-Sun Lee, by the way, has started to, after that brilliant opening 2 laps, already plummeted back down the field to 18th already. Those soft tires were great on the start, but now the South Korean driver is struggling already.
As we're seeing Wexler appearing to, he must be backing off the tires, maybe overheating them a little bit. A bit rash from the normally experienced driver, as Harbuzi and Bashir holding the 1.5 second gap to Gobert, but Wexler needs to be careful not to lose the slipstream and lose potentially his chance at a final ever podium. Out front!
In the gravel! It's Gobert! Gobert's in the gravel! Turn 1! Gobert's run wide!
She keeps it going, but she's lost 5 seconds there.
Harbuzi to the lead! Harbuzi's to the lead!
A 1.5 second lead turns into almost 3 seconds down on Harbuzi, who usurps the lead. And guess who else usurps something important for the time being? Wexler is in P3.
Indeed he is, but will he allow the team leader and championship favorite Gobert through, or will Wexler try and fight, or will the team allow the two drivers to fight? It is Wexler's last home race, and he's done a lot for the Rossini team over the years. Will they allow the drivers to fight, or will they prioritize Gobert getting the title first?
Meanwhile, back to the battle for 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ooh, around the outside!
Almost three wide with Clark Smith, Schmidt and Lipinen. Hairy stuff here for the lower points battles, as Schmidt goes side by side again with Clark Smith through the first chicane.
Indeed, that's intense stuff, as Modi is starting to drop back now. I'm seeing on the timing screen, he's dropped 2 spots behind Cristiano's Cortorsi car and Lorenz. So now Dino Britt is leading this queue of cars in the lower points places. So Britt currently leads that train. Modi is struggling right now, and there's the move. Gobert up into 3rd. Wexler didn't fight it. So it looks like they're going to allow Gobert to go through and try and charge after the leaders. Maybe she can tow Wexler along out to the front, as Lorenz now moves into 10th place off screen. Krantz, by the way, is up in the 16th in the second Thornton, if you're wondering where he was. As look at this mess. Almost 3 wide through the Almost 3 wide through the Della Roger chicane. That is unbelievable. You can't go 3 wide there. You're gonna go in the gravel if you do that. As here comes Gonzalez trying to take a peek on the inside of Modi. Modi's soft tires are struggling, apparently.
Well, this is certainly a track where there will be an early crossover you would expect for the mediums to start working. AWS said that optimal crossover is about 11 to 13 laps, so in a couple of laps time, especially in that battle there, we could see Modi dropping, as Ji-Sung Lee, not really known for his great tyre wear, has come into the pit lane on lap 9.
Indeed, he started on a fresh set of sauce as well, and he's already in after 8 laps. Ji-Sung Lee is... There's a lot of rumors about Ji-Sung Lee. I'm not sure how well he's being treated over there. He is struggling immensely in that Rosato Corsa.
Unfortunately, I think his move away from endurance racing could be bordering on career suicide, as Brigitte Gobert is looking to make a move on Bashir potentially this lap. No curse deployed, just going to go for raw pace down the inside into Parabolica as Bashir gives up the spot for now.
And the crowd
fight back though.
And the crowd is screaming at the moment. They are cheering the French woman on. Gobert's Gobert back to second now after her mistake earlier on.
Something else that's screaming is the millions watching at home as we're hearing that we are just under, across all of us broadcasters, 100 million viewers, which is no doubt easily the record for this season, and puts it in the top 5 of all time for Wexler's retirement party.
Indeed, it's quite something indeed. It shows how well loved the German is by the whole racing community. In fact, here's the man. Here's the man. Car 5, Dieter Wexler. He's been very good for all this time, and I hope he can and I hope if this is his last race, he goes out on the podium.
Well, as it stands, he's got to gain 2 seconds on Bashir to make that dream a reality, who actually is starting to struggle. He hasn't reported any tyre wear issues, but could that be that it's slowly coming in and he just doesn't realise, as Gobert has gained a second and more and is within DRS range of Harbuzi coming onto the pit straight.
Don't look now, by the way, but Modi is really struggling on his sauce now. He is down to 14th now and is barely hanging on to the fight for the points. Someone who is hanging on, though, is Maria Gonzalez, watching brief in 12th. Look at this mess up ahead. Oh, no! Off goes Gonzalez. Right as we cut to her, off goes Gonzalez into the gravel. Down to 15th goes the Rossano Corsa. That's a disappointment for her. As Hammond, we're being told, just went off in sympathy, but we didn't see that. Perhaps there's something to breathe down there at turn 1.
Well, if there is, it's never affected the top 4 so far, as the gap is staying around 3/4 of a second. It's built to 2 seconds from Gobert to Bashir, and it's staying at 1.5 from Bashir to Wexler.
Gobert is slowly closing in on Harbuzi, by the way. She's been slowly reeling in the Panther car. As Lipinen up into 5th again. The Flying Finn is in 5th.
Meanwhile, 2 positions below, Clark Smith and Veracruz, the 2 Yumas, quietly comfortable, I would say, so far, in lower points positions.
Again, the cars are normally reliable. It's just they're not fast enough to really be able to challenge. They're not fast enough to challenge Lipinen or Schmidt. The Van Dorn and the Catano just have the Yuma's number right now. Yuma need to find something here in the rest of the season.
Well, there they are, only a couple seconds up the road from Clark Smith, as in the background, watching Clark Smith, we actually saw Lipinen go down the inside at the Lesmos, but Schmidt looking to go down the inside on the pit straight. He's pushed Lipinen to the outside. Oh, that's an aggressive
for the lead. For the lead, by the way, here comes Gobert to the outside of Harbuzi. Gobert to the outside. It's going to be the inside for the second part of the chicane. Still fighting it. Just missed out under the old oval circuit. They go. Gobert is right on the back of the Panther. The Panther with all those upgrades and is allegedly the fastest car in the field. Has nothing for the Rossini or nothing for Gobert. She's hounding the Panther's rear end right now. She's trying to drive through the Panther. Here she comes, onto the start-finish straight. Is this going to be the moment that Gobert takes the lead of the Milan GP? It is! Gobert to the lead! Gobert to the lead on lap 15, and the crowd is going mad. There are Italian and French flags flying in the crowd right now. The crowd is on its feet as Gobert battles for the lead. As apparently there's trouble. There's trouble. There's damage. I see damage on the front wing of Lorenz's car. Something must have happened.
Well, it's clearly helping her as she's gaining on Britt into the Della Roggia chicane as side by side doesn't want to damage the car anymore, is putting it very close to Britt, but I think has just about escaped with position as we are now hearing Wexler box. The Tifosi on the pit wall will be able to see their glorious German come into the pit lane for what is probably the...
We're being told the Steinman crew is out. The Steinman crew is out. The Steinman crew is out in the pit lane as well. As Gobert's going for the lead again, off in the distance. They were side by side into turn one. As Bashir comes out, Bashir and Wexler both come out on soft compound tires. Gobert is still battling fiercely with Harbouzi. Harbouzi doesn't want to give it up. But he may have to give in to the pressure of the Rossini. As we're being told, the Panther pit crew is getting ready. The Panther pit crew is getting ready in the pit lane, we're being told, as Wexler comes out in 10th place. Look at this traffic ahead of him. Here comes Wexler. Through goes Wexler. Up in the 7th place, past the traffic. That was Dino, Britt, Lorenz, and Cristiano he just passed. All in one straight. The ERS system on that car is amazing. As here they come to the pit lane. Harbouzi, Gobert, 1 and 2 in the race.
The leaders coming
They're both in. It's going to be a pit stop battle.
No mistakes from Ferrari.
Good stop for Go. Slow stop for Harbouzi. The Panther crew, that's normally the fastest pit crew in the field, has a slow stop, and they give the lead to Gobert, and the effective lead is to Gobert. But look at Bashir. Here comes the Japanese driver in the Steinman. He's up in the provisional P2. As Schmidt and Aki now are currently 1 and 2 on track, at least. They're 1 and 2 on track, but realistically, this is the fight for the lead as Harbouzi gets in the middle of it.
Meanwhile, thinking more long term, just looking down the field, hard tyres, both Yumas.
Wow!
Interesting call on the Yuma pit wall.
So the Yumas are going to play the long game and they think the hard compound tire, along with the long pit lane, is the way to go. We'll see how that strategy plays out.
Down the pit straight.
Look at this, man! There's Schmidt and Aki. Schmidt bails out. Schmidt bails out. Aki keeps going, but Gobert back to the lead. Back to the lead goes Gobert. Harbouzi's in the middle of it. He used Aki Lippinen as a pick to get up into second.
As unfortunately, the front left not being able to come off smoothly has turned the front three at least into an utter dogfight, and maybe only a couple of seconds down the road a certain older German gentleman will be able to capitalise on this dogfight.
Three hard chargers in 3 different cars lead the field with the veteran Wexler lurking in the wings if one of them makes a mistake.
Gobert uses all of her curves, it seems, to
but it's not enough. Harbouzi sets the fastest lap of the race.
Well, Harbouzi continuing to charge as we cut to Wexler, who is, to be fair, he's very comfortable in 4th. It's if he wants to go for a podium or not. As we see Gobert side by side with Harbouzi, coming down into the Lesmos, just ahead of Harbouzi for now. And has the inside. Have
another development, by the way. More cars are trying the hard tire out. Wolfgang Schmidt has pitted for the hard compound tire, along with teammate Modi. So the Van Dorts are going hards as well. Perhaps to counter Yuma. As here comes Schmidt around the outside on those pressure hard tires, back up into the points he goes.
Change for the lead.
Or not. Here comes Gobert trying to sneak back to the inside. Here comes Bashir trying to make a move. Aki Lippinen dies in after a 20-lap stint on those softs. What a mammoth stint from the Finnish driver. That Katano is amazing on his tires. Another set of softs for Lippinen.
He's on softs.
Wow.
He might be following what the top 4 are following, which is the triple soft strategy, which is actually the fastest as recommended by AWS. However,
here comes Schmidt.
Only for those as Schmidt, we see battling Clark Smith both on the hard, so we'll come to that in a second. But for those who are in Q3, the 2-stop is actually faster, but for those who are not, it is actually medium the fastest, although Schmidt and Clark Smith and Veracruz and Modi trying the alternate strat, the 1-stop for those who got the Q3, soft to hards.
Other cars that I'm curious about, by the way, Dino Britt and Linda Lorenz, currently 5th and 6th right now, who both started on the mediums, and right behind them as well, Cristiano in the Cortorsi car running 7th as well. They're the highest running medium. They're the highest running medium tire runners from the start of the race. Maria Gonzalez was 10th, now runs 11th as Clark Smith runs wide and gives up the fight for 8th and gives up the fight with Schmidt for good for now.
As we see behind them, Lipponen obviously charging in, but so is Schmidt and Clark Smith charging in on Lorenz and Duess. As we see an attempt from Gobert for a move, not quite got it off. Bashir, is he setting himself up for something? As we see Gobert use some curves at side by side into De La Rogia. What can she do?
Around the outside goes Gobert.
Section. As Bashir, is he just setting himself up to move later? Staying about half a second, staying with enough time to react to a mistake or a collision. As Gobert secures position through Lesmos. Not actually what you want realistically, as obviously being in the slipstream you save fuel and tires.
Schmidt right now runs 5th after his pit stop, and Britt is now down to 6th, on track at least. So this will be interesting to see how the strategies play out now. As
Harbuzi makes another move. A very heavy overtaking track this is, obviously, with all the long straights and the few corners. As Clark Smith is off camera going to make a move on Britt. That's for P6, fighting P5 with Schmidt. Both drivers going straight to the end.
Meanwhile, by the way, currently the fastest car on track, believe it or not, it's Aki Lipponen right now. He's the fastest man on track at the moment, last time by.
Well, we can see that as he's closing in on Duest and Lorenz, and Britt not too far, using some curves out of De La Rocha.
He needs to clear these guys.
Pushing his way past Duest.
Look at the speed he has.
Before the Lesmos.
He has to clear them quickly because he's on the soft tires and has to get moving while he can. Meanwhile, by the way, Bashir is out of DRS. Bashir's out of DRS now. Bashir's dropping back. Bashir's dropping back, so soon it might be a one-on-one unless Bashir is trying to save his tires for a charge later in the stint.
Maybe that Mercedes just doesn't have the raw power lap after lap that we thought that it may be able to have. Obviously, with no clear tally, we can't test that to the fullest. But maybe the Steinman was just not that quick around this circuit with a heavy emphasis on the power unit.
Indeed.
As we see Veracruz in P11, 2.5 seconds off Dues.
The Yumas are
to get back into the points.
Something I'm noticing, by the way, the second of each of the Van Dort and Yuma cars are currently struggling on those hard tires. Clark Smith and Schmidt are doing perfectly fine, but Veracruz and especially Modi are struggling heavily on those hard tires.
As we see Gobert making another move. There's a LaRue off. There's a LaRue off at the final sector.
At the Ascari chicane, off goes Rico Oyama. Rico Oyama off in the LaRue. No safety car, just a yellow in Sector 3 for the time being at the chicane. Still no.
Gobert makes another move at the Ascari chicane, but Harbuzi will probably stay right behind and move straight back into first. As looking down the pit straight, he doesn't have an awful lot of speed.
Doesn't have a lot of overspeed. Just about has enough speed to make the move into turn 1. By the way, update on Berg. By the way, the slight update: Surkov currently running 18th after that lap 1 collision. Bergman currently last, but is about to pass Ji-Sun Lee. And Ji-Sun Lee, by the way, who pitted first, is now down to 22nd and last of the cars running in this race. In fact, he's about to get lapped. He's about 10 seconds. He's about 5 or 6 seconds ahead of the leaders right now, and is about to get lapped.
As we look at the Oyamanda crash very quickly, she just put the wheels too far on the outside and then spun it off the right side barrier and race over. Simple mistake to make. However, two drivers that will not be hoping they make such a rookie error is Gobert and Harbuzi, still locked in battle, locked in horns. Harbuzi with the fastest lap, but Gobert currently has position. Harbuzi looks to make a move, but can't quite make it through De La Roggia.
Bashir has dropped to 5 seconds off these two, by the way. Has dropped almost 5 seconds down on these two, by the way. Wexler's 10 seconds down, but is under no threat from Schmidt and Clark Smith running in 5th and 6th behind him. In fact, Wexler currently has a free pit stop if he were to take it. I don't think he would take, unless he's within a window, unless he wants to use the medium tire, I don't think he would take the window right now. But meanwhile, G suddenly dies out of the way. Dies out of the way of the Rosarda Corsa, not helping the sister Panther team at all. Not helping the Panther at all, as here comes Gobert back to the inside to bully her way into the lead one more time. It could come down to the final round of stops here. Who blinks first?
There's a collision.
Collision!
Two punctures.
And it's just ahead of the leaders. Look out! Here come the leaders through this mess. It's Cavalcanti and Bergman. Both cars have punctures, and there's a broken front wing on Bergman's car. As the leaders come flying through these two.
You just couldn't write this story for Bergman, unfortunately. Two collisions, and neither deemed to be his fault. Obviously, the Sirikov won a racing incident.
Oh, here we go.
Cavalcanti getting another 5-second penalty on top of the jump start.
Here we go. I was wondering when we're going to cut to this. Here's Aki Lipinen up into P6 past Clark Smith. Those fresher soft tires are working for the Finnish driver. The flying Finn, Aki Lipinen. Here he comes to try and take 5th off of Wolfgang Schmidt. Lipinen still has to pit again, but he's on a charge right now.
That's the difference. Is Schmidt, Clark Smith, very close, saving a pit stop, but Lipinen should forever be on faster tires. So
he'll be much faster.
We'll see how that plays out.
He'll be much faster in the final stint once he pits again. I assume for another set of yellow-walled soft tires, which could be very interesting to see how big the closing speed is. Speaking of soft tires, I assume that is what the tires that Gobert and Harbuzi are thinking about for the final stint. Although it'll be interesting to see which one of these two hard chargers blinks first. Harbuzi, the only man to beat Gobert for a win this season, or Gobert, the girl who has been dominating the series so far this season. Who will blink first for the pit stops here? The undercut can be so critical, as we saw with Bashir. It got Bashir back in contention for a brief time until he dropped off the pace.
Well, just a reminder.
Dino Britt pits from ninth place. Dino Britt pits finally off the mediums. Slow stop for Britt. Very slow stop for Britt. What on earth happened there?
She's on the soft tires. We'll see what Gonzalez and Sharp, who are again having bad races. They all three come out on the softs. Maybe it's within range.
Aki Lipinen did go 20 laps on a set of sauce himself, so it is possible. However, here's a problem. Now. Sharp and Gonzalez are a lap down. In fact, there's a. Who is that? Is that Hamron? I think that's Hamron. They just lapped Hamron as well. Hamron's on the medium. Okay, no, wait, never mind. I stand corrected. Hamron has not pitted yet on those medium tires. Gonzalez and Sharp have, but they are a lap down. Dino Britt is not, as Cristiano pits from 10th place on his medium tires with 20 to go.
Meanwhile, looking slightly forward, this win would actually be very important for Gobert. Obviously, with the crash of the Steinman in the opening phase of the Grand Prix, the Rossini garage need every point they can get to grow a lead on Steinman. Only being, I believe it was 17 points ahead with still half the season, that is nothing when it comes to
Oh!
constructors.
Oh! Trouble! It's
Oh,
Gobert!
speaking
Gobert's
of
going
Gobert.
slowly! Gobert going slowly! Something's gone wrong on the Rossini! The championship leader is going slowly, and it looks like Gobert is out of the race! She's out of the race!
She can't slow down.
The
She can't slow down. She had an issue through Della Roggia where she had to almost double her braking distance, and listening on the onboard, those brakes are squeaking, which any driver will know. You do not want squeaking brakes.
There's black brake dust coming. There's black brake dust coming out of those brakes. Look at that! Wow. Yeah, she's braking really hard for the pit lane. There's black dust everywhere. She parks the car in the garage. Bridget Gobert, the championship leader, out of a potential win. It will not be 8 from 9 for Gobert Someone else could. We might have a new winner here. And Wexler, by the way, is now back on the podium.
Wexler, through a cursed gift, you would say, of Gobert retiring from the lead, is now on the podium with a free pit stop behind him, as the Rossini garage are going to call him in for the safety stop, although he was complaining about tyre wear. We just didn't really bring that up.
I wonder if they're going to check the brake ducts on Wexler's car to make sure those brakes are getting enough cool air. There's a lot of heavy braking zones here, so perhaps the brakes overheated. As here comes Lippinen, he hasn't stopped again, although Lippinen is a dark horse for a top 5 here. Although he is losing ground to Schmidt and Clark Smith now, as Wexler pits onto the soft tires, comes out in clear air all by himself in third. So now, barring a safety car, it is Harbouzy's in the pound seat here to win his second race.
Looking back on the lap where Gobert retired, listening to the onboard specifically, the squealing on those brakes, you would be concerned if it was a road car, no less a car that's been hitting 250 for 150 miles.
Indeed.
As Bashir is in.
Although given the circumstances of Gobert retiring now, that's another point spot that's up for grabs now. That's another point spot up for grabs, as Waxer's undercut has now put him within 3 seconds of Bashir for the time being, as Lippinen pits from 6th place onto another set of softs. He'll have to re-overtake Recluse and maybe Nikolai Surkov, who's currently running 7th, as Clark Smith runs wide, doing his chance of a top 5 no good. No, Aki comes out in 7th. He comes out in 7th, 26 seconds down on Wolfgang Schmidt with 15 laps to go. It's going to be a tall order, but can he do it?
Harbouzy is in.
Harbouzy comes in, gets out cleanly, barely held up by Magnus Krantz, who pits from 15th place in the second Thornton.
Well, back to what I was saying though, is that Gobert needed every point. They needed to capitalise on Claire Talley's early DNF, and then the car's just fallen apart, and now it's Steinman who are actually going to be gaining points in the championship. The gap will be down to 16 as it stands. It was 17, Bashir on 18, Wexler 15 plus the fastest lap. So as it stands, it's going to be an infuriating blunder. Well, blunder's a bit harsh, but the result won't be taken well by those in the Rossini pit wall, as we did get a message actually, as Linda Lorenz ran wide. We did get a message from the Rossini pit wall. Obviously, they aren't going to come live. There's probably some anger there, that's why. But they did actually check Wexler's brakes very, very briefly, and they saw no immediate threat to his brakes, so no concerns there. Maybe Gobert just kept getting caught in the dirty air and just overheated them, and when it gets to a certain point, they just snap and disintegrate, as we saw in the video.
Interesting fight, by the way, for the final point, as Cristiano has now moved into 10th place. moved into 10th place following their other retirements and issues for the front runners. Nikolai Surkov, by the way, is somehow back into P8 at the moment, although we do believe he needs to stop again.
As Harbuzi takes the fastest lap off Bashir, who actually took it off of Wexler, which isn't great for Dieter, as that grows the gap to 3-point victory for Steinman, which puts the gap down to 14 points, which in this business, when you're as good as these are, 14 points is nothing.
By the way, Aki Lipinen is within 2 seconds of Recluse. He is flying on those soft tires. And off goes Recluse. Recluse couldn't handle the pressure, and off goes the Belgian.
As well, I mean, he's got that much of a gap to Sirikov and Britt. You could almost joke that he was getting out the way so he didn't have to battle. Remember, the aim of the game when you're on the hard tires is conserve. Although putting a bunch of gravel on your tires won't help.
Speaking of Britt, by the way, he is within 1.5 seconds of Nikolai Sirikov. So Britt might be challenging the Works Panther.
Would be a hell of an achievement for an Ukkonen.
There's the Panther dead ahead. There's the Panther dead ahead of the Ukkonen. The Ukkonen, it has been closing little by little, just outside 1 second of the Russian.
As we settle into the crescendo of this race, what a race it's been. Claire Talley's opening crash into Parabolica, and then much later on, Gobert's brakes disintegrating on the front tyres, as we've had a number of back and forth stories with Dino, Britt and Lorenz fighting for the points with D'Est in, I believe that's the Cortosi Corsa car.
It is.
And Very Cruz, Clark Smith, Schmidt, Modi on the one stop, seeing if that works. Sirikov with an early collision with Bergman, who again later collided. Krantz, who was close to the points but has now fallen back. Yi-Sung Lee, who had an excellent start and is now last on track.
Another interesting...
And of course...
Interesting to note as well, by the way, is that... For Clue, is that Aki Lipinen is within 13 seconds of Clark Smith after only 6 laps since we last saw him passing for Clues. So Clark Smith and Schmidt, they might need to start putting their foot down a little bit more, because that Catano is coming.
Well, something that the Tifosi out in the 200,000+ will be hoping is coming is Dieter Wexler sitting in third. Can it be his final podium in what is believed to be his final race in the red of the Rossini? What an illustrious career he's had between Rosato, Panther and Rossini. Can he bring it home?
Harbuzi sets the purple first sector, by the way, as he's not slowing down at all. He's on a charge right now. He's on a charge right now to make a statement here that he's not gonna give up without a fight. He wants to prove that he would have won this race legit. As Dina Britt has lost P9 to Linda Lorenz, Britt is dropping down the order. Britt is down to 11th now as Cristiano gets back into 10th. As now Lorenz is now within a second of the Panther. Here comes Linda Lorenz though. Here comes the Thornton to the inside of the Russian and clears into the Delawater chicane. Lorenz is up into 8th place past Nikolai Surkov's Panther. Sirkov's medium tires are struggling as Cristiano in the Cortorsi car is now closing in on the Works Panther. Could he get Nikolai Sirkov and get another point?
Well, it's been a very ambivalent day, obviously, for Panther. One side of the garage locked in a battle until the unfortunate retirement of Gobert. Now seemingly cruising to an easy victory, with, in fact, Sirikov on the other side of the garage, who's just had a complete nightmare, could even get lapped by Harbuzi to rub salt from one side of the garage into the wounds of the other.
Well, Sirikov's still trying. He's trying to keep up with Lorenz. I did hear somebody's engine sounding a little... I did hear something going down the start-finish straight that sounded rough. I hope it wasn't Lorenz's car. We do know she has damage from a collision earlier in the race. In fact, you can see the front end fence damage on Lorenz's car. Something sounded off going down the straightaway. I just don't know which car that was.
As we cut back to Lippanen, who it's touch and go, but he could still be in with a shout of fourth.
He's within 10 seconds.
Faster than Clark per lap. Clark Smith per lap.
He's close.
He only has 6.5 laps to go.
Yeah.
With a gap of 7.
It's gonna be close as Lorenz gets by Sirikov again off camera, as Cristiano is now stalking the back of the Panther. In fact, there he is, and there he is, as now they're getting lapped by the lead, as now Sirikov's about to have to give way to teammate and race leader Harbuzi. Here comes Harbuzi. He's already left Dino Britt as Cristiano gets smartly out of the way, and now Cristiano might pull a Wexler and Cristiano uses Harbuzi as a pick to get past Sirikov. And Cristiano, here he comes! Here comes the Argentine! He might get up into P8 using the blue flags as a pick to get up into P8. Here comes Sirikov down the inside! 3 wide into Parabolica! Sirikov does not want to give this up! As Cristiano's masterclass move may get a P8. 3 wide again! Sirikov on the curb! Sirikov off on the curb in the grass almost, as Sirikov holds on for now. But Cristiano and Lorenz are not going to let the Russian get away with it, as we're being told Dino Britt is going to have to come into the pit lane. Not sure why, but Dino Britt apparently has to come into the pit lane. The American...
As meanwhile...
Oh, no. What has happened to Dino Britt?
Ahead of these positions, as yes, unfortunately Dino Britt will not probably be scoring points. There'd have to be a 6-car pileup, I think, for Britt to even have a chance.
Or a safety car, but a safety car now would end the race. A safety car would actually end the race now that I think about it, unless it's a short one for a 1-lap shootout. A safety car would end the race.
As we cut to Lippanen, who is going to run out of tyres, run out of time, looks to be stuck 6 seconds or so back. 20 seconds ahead of Veracruz, who has fallen off slightly.
Clark Smith up in the 4th.
The 2 drivers ahead by 6 seconds are battling away. Clark Smith and Schmidt. What have they got left in those tyres?
They're doing what I told them to do earlier. They're putting their foot down. They're going for it now. Something I also thought of as well is that Wexler, in theory, could go for the fastest lap since he has a 40-second gap over Clark Smith behind him. Will the Rossini team go for it and try and get the extra point here?
It's valuable. It is valuable. Those 2 points for the fastest lap, as yes, they are going.
The crew's getting ready.
That is the Rossini crew with some fresh, soft tyres. Probably the last set that Wexler has, as he will obviously come out still in 3rd.
As we're being told Ji-Sun Lee has run wide somewhere on the circuit. We're not sure where. But Ji-Sun Lee still running last at the moment. As Sirikov still not giving up against Lorenz, as Cristiano has started to fall back a little bit. Or not. There he is. He's right there. The camera just didn't show him in frame. But there he is. He's right here. He wants P8. He wants those 4 points.
As Modi overtook Kofi Koro off screen, who then also got overtaken by Britt, as Britt now still 18 seconds behind Does for the final point, but Britt
2 to go.
Up to 11th, where she was before the pit stop. As Sirikov looks to have rescued points for Panther.
Clark Smith and Schmidt are still fighting fiercely for 4th at the moment. Gonzalez is currently 12th, which would be a decent result, but still no points for Rosado Corsa. As Wexler's now on a chart. Wexler's now on a charge now. Can he get the fastest lap? Can he get the fastest lap and take those 2 points away from Panther? Purple first sector. That's promising.
Meanwhile, passing Curva Grande, Hobbuzi in front of a booing Tifosi for the penultimate time. White flag, final lap. Here we go. 15-second gap to Bashir, who
Wexler's still setting purple sector still. Purple second sector. Can Wexler set a fastest lap of the race? Can he do it? Can the German do it and get another fastest lap as Schmidt and Clark Smith are still fighting fiercely for fourth at the moment? Wexler to the line. He does it. 126.58. That's the fastest lap of the race for Dieter Wexler.
Hobbuzi,
wow.
I believe, was...
Where did that speed come from?
Clark Smith and Schmidt.
Where did that speed come from, Schmidt?
Round Curva Grande. Hobbuzi, who was behind Bashir after the pit stop, is coming round in front of a booing Tifosi and wins the Milan 2021 Grand Prix. Bashir, valiant effort from the Japanese man, but he can only manage a second place.
Surkov's gonna get P8 out of this.
Across the line.
Surkov P8.
Surkov P8.
Blue flag.
Bruce P7.
Bashir blue flag. Bashir blue flagged that fight for 8th place and ruined the fight. But the crowd will, the Tifosi will have one man to cheer. The man, the myth, the legend, Dieter Wexler will come home with the fastest lap to finish P3 in what could be his swan song for Rossini and for his brilliant career. Meanwhile,
we cut to the 4 and 5. Schmidt and Clark Smith. Clark Smith, can he get a run? Needs to send the kitchen sink.
He's closing. He's closing. Here he comes. It's not. He's gonna be close, but he's gonna run out of time. Schmidt P4. Aki Lippinen was going to get a brilliant P6 for Catano in the end as well. Good job for Catano. As Amanda Cavalcanti, interestingly enough, Amanda Cavalcanti will secure will get 20th place despite her 25 seconds worth of penalties, as Ji-Sun Lee is 2 laps down.
And can I just say, before we cut to the podium celebrations, as Hobbuzi's already on Curva Grande, Schmidt, Clark Smith and Veracruz, the one-stop worked.
We
did. We weren't predicting it to work, but hey-ho, it worked. And
the hard tire actually worked.
Surikov had to go with a medium strategy after the early collision, and that also worked. It's a bit of a surprising one for strategy to have been so varied, yet work for different people.
Lorenz and Surikov.
Racing fans appreciate it.
Lorenz and Cristiano also technically did a one-stop medium to soft, and it paid off. Dina Brick couldn't make it. Dina Brick ran out of tire and couldn't make it work. Modi really was the only one who did the one-stop and failed to convert it into anything.
As I'm also hearing that after the retirement of Brigitte Gobert, we hit 127 million global viewers, which is second all-time for a World Motorsport Championship race. What a race it was for those 127 million people to watch.
Indeed it is. That was quite a race indeed. But now we might. But is this the end for? If this is the end for Dieter Wexler, he gets to go out celebrating on the podium like he always does, with a lot of excitement.
I'll tell you one thing. The happiest team walking out of this Grand Prix, it won't be Panther, it won't be Steinman, and it certainly won't be Rossini.
Oh, then who is it?
Well, think about it this way. All 3 of the top teams had a casualty. Granted, Panthers was the least severe, as, Nikolai Surikov managed to secure some low points. But when you're a top team, any casualty is just... It takes a lot out of you as a team, as a garage. Even the pit crew, it takes a lot out of them. So... Do you know what? I would say the happiest team's probably Yuma, and then Van Dort second with Wolfgang Schmidt best of the rest.
You know what? I think you're right in that. Although, still, hats off to the flying fin of Aki. Mammoth 20-lap stint on the sauce, the time for the longest we saw all race long, and he gets a brilliant P6. Just missed out on a potential 4th in the end. But now, I think we can get a chance to talk to Jean Todt before we see Wexler go up on the podium.
Well, just before that, I also want to say a quick congratulations to Linda Lorenz converting a decent grid position into points. P13 to P9. Very well done for a Thornton car that's been struggling most of the season.
Indeed.
So, Jean Todt. Bit of a mixed bag, that one, really. You know, Wexler getting the podium, but only because of the casualty very late on with the brakes exploding. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it's Ginger Ismail. It's I'm in two minds really, because we're having such an amazing season as things stand, with all of these victories sort of coming left, right, and center. We stayed tried and true on our path, and you know, I'm so proud of the team having brought us to this point that we're able to push everyone else and sort of make them more vulnerable when it's crunch time. So, and I'm so glad that Gobert has gotten herself to 7 wins already in just 9 races, and I'm sure we could have had a shot at an 8th one. But I mean, mad props to, of course, Makshat Harbuzi. He gave me quite a few heart attacks with all of his interesting defensive maneuvers. But
Could you possibly, I know it's tempting fate here, but could you argue that he may give you a few more if he is to get another 2-3 wins the next 4 or 5 rounds and start clawing back that seemingly massive gap that has definitely shrunk with the unfortunate retirement today?
Well, I mean, you never say never, but really what we strive to accomplish here at Scuderia Rossini with the team that we built over the last 4 years is we never look back. We always move forward, and you know we need to analyze exactly what went wrong, and you know we gotta you know pick it up and keep going and move forward. But yeah, it's a tough one because Gobert was looking really strong all day long, but overall pretty disappointed on her side. But also Dieter Wexler, I'm so happy to see him finish on the podium, and because I don't expect him to return. Obviously, we're really happy that Jessica Critelli, our young Italian superstar, of course, has recovered. She's taken her time to recover, and we feel confident that she'll be able to help us to the best of her ability. Starting in Ardennes, she'll be able to return to the car. So I want to thank Dieter for all of his amazing efforts over the last 7 years. He's really helped redefine this team, and I consider him a true close friend. I wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors.
Well, there's your man. He's on the podium one more time. And if this is the end for Dieter Wexler, I want to say to him, Danke. Thank you for all the memories you've provided over the last couple seasons. Danke, Wexler. I hope you enjoy retirement.
As we see now on the drivers, that 25 points swing, well, for Harbuzi it is, 101 points to Gobert. That's 4 race victories with 0 scored for Gobert. The gap for Bashir, who came second, is only 59, which is 3 race wins and a couple of incidents for Gobert in those, and it's not so secure now as it was before this race, and if Gobert were to have got a podium. Meanwhile, looking at the teams,
16 points. 16 points is a lot closer than you'd think. A 1-2 for Steinman. A 1-2 for Steinman could easily swing. A 1-2 for Steinman, even if both Rossini's finish, could swing things back in Steinman's favor. But we'll have to wait and see. The Rossini team have been very strong, but now with Panther in the mix, Panther could take points off of both teams.
Well,
They may
yeah,
not be in
Panther
contention for the constructors still, but we'll have to wait and see whether Panther can play spoiler here for either side.
Well, I would almost argue if you're Panther, you want to be like a Panther and be hungry, be aggressive. Why not aim for the Constructors' Championship? All you need is 2 1-2s in a row. Easier said than done, obviously. And that gap could shrink from 72 points to potentially 30. Then all it takes is one Rossini to hit one Steinman, and you're in it.
Indeed.
And obviously, Panther closed down over a dozen points on both Steinman and Rossini with Surakov's eventual recovery. But all that being said, we thank you very much for watching one of the most enthralling Milan Grand Prix in a long, long while. From Wolf Motorsports, I'm Ginger.
And I'm Wolf. We'll see you next time.